Welcome back to the Glaze Studios oil painting tutorial. I am Gomati Sivasankaran. We are working on a large canvas painting of Ardhanareeshwarar, which is a half man, half woman god. Um, it's also meaning, in a way, it means the complete universe, the power of Shiva and Shakti represent the power of masculine and feminine energy. We are working on this large canvas painting and we are in class 17. That is fantastic. It's been a while. Let's quickly go over what we have done. We have been working on understanding a large canvas, how to select the right canvas. That's what we started with, really at a basic level, and then we looked at materials, references, choosing references, doing the first layer, that is a wash kind of, and then applying those references to build the superstructure here on the canvas, and then blocking in the second layer. The third layer started giving us a slight bit of dimension, maybe depth, yeah, slight bit of depth. And then we moved on to working on the fourth layer, which we are doing even now. So we continue working on the fourth layer, and today's session will be about the fourth layer on um, Shakti's costume. And I will also, like I promised, I will also show you a clothing to see how these folds really work and why are they, going in this angle or that angle. Why? We will look into that. But before that, it's also important to take a stop to look at the corrections. At least in my case, I noticed a couple of places where there needs to be some corrections done. So we can quickly go over those corrections and then come back working on our mm, clothing. So that's something that I think we would be working on today. So with that said, the materials will be, almost the same. No big change. I have mentioned that I am, beginning to use more and more of this zero brush and also this um, micro brush, just to create some nuances in slight places. And you see that I am not using much of large brushes, so it's only brush numbers, 1 2 3 0 1 2 3 whatever. So I keep it to that minimum, because we're working on each and every section with great detail. So the more and more we get into details, yeah, the less and less we'll be using um, larger brushes. Maybe when we come to, let's say, the background, maybe we might come back to some large brush usage. Other than that, I don't see any need for change. In terms of the colors, they are pretty much the same. Nothing new added to the palette. Everything is the same with regard to the materials. So right now I'm going to push this camera to the front so you get to see, yeah, more of what is here. And let's focus on the corrections. Yes. So what I noticed, mm, that I had missed possibly, is that these are minute details, but yeah, they are mistakes. So one correction that I noticed was that, look at the angle, the way the hand is, and look at the way this the elbow is placed. There is somehow something missing in terms of the connect. And with this, the mala that he's wearing around his wrist, somewhere down the lane, it doesn't look synced in. It looks like, the hand is placed here and the angle is wrong. So if this is the angle that is correct that you want to follow, then the hand should be here. That's one thing. Then it becomes a major change. Otherwise, if this hand angle is right, then we need to build this angle out in some way. So that's one thing that I noticed in terms of mistake. And then other thing is, I think it might have been obvious for you. Maybe I didn't check. Um, Hand of Shakti. This looks totally enlarged, way out of the place, way out of the place. For this, small hand, this is really way out of the place. I can see that. So this is a huge error for me. Another minor error, also another hand of Shakti, but it doesn't show up like an error, but I'll come to it later. So let's start with these corrections first. And the good way to do corrections is to take a color that is completely not there and then make those corrections, especially if it is major like this. I would say, I will use a white, titanium white, maybe to first look at where I could, improvise and so on. So let me see if I can take titanium white. And yeah, at this point, it's also good to refer back to your references. In my case, I'm also thinking of those references. I don't have them here. Let me get it. The reference shows it nicely. I think I have screwed it up here. It's so clear. Okay, I should have noticed that. See, this is what, when we are working on such levels of detail, things could go wrong here and there. So look at this. Let's say that this angle is right. I'm going to just hide this. Let's say this angle is right. The way she's holding the um, lotus with her thumb, this thumb is right. So this is all right. So what is wrong here? What is off here is this. So I am going to first cut this off into the right, first of all, the right hand um, shape here. So this is the right shape. Then the hand shape is going here. If it is here, we don't need this. I'm going to just push some white to hide this. So this is to be hidden. If we are hiding this, then the angle of the hand actually stops here, isn't it? So it will show like we have only three fingers here. So we need to adjust the fingers here somehow. Before we figure that out, one thing we could do is that sometimes, it is our all this wrong shapes that really block our point of view. So I'm going to take it out totally. So I've taken it out, and this shape looks fine to me. So I'm not bothered about the details yet. I'm just looking at the overall shape of the hand. So is this the right shape? I think yes. So the overall shape is fine and I don't need this. I'm going to just wipe it off. And yeah, when we work on the background, the next layer or this layer, yes, the layer 4, when we work on the background, we can adjust this as a part of the background. So we have at least taken away the part that doesn't sit well. With this finger, arrangement, we are losing one finger here. So we'll have to work on that. Yeah. To work on that, do we first start with so this finger angle, this goes slightly up like this, and I want it to be coming down like this. Yeah. So there is really less space between the both the hands. Can you see the way I'm holding the brush also? If I hold the brush like this, okay, I'm going to hold it like this to the brush. I'm holding like this. So this is the way the fingers are spread out, but I am trying to converge it, make them come out like this. And can you see what is coming up? You can see the thumb though, but then this finger, yes, this finger that is holding the brush is getting hidden mostly because of the next finger and then the next finger and the next finger. That's how it is. Maybe it's coming out slightly like this in her case. That's the way the picture is also defining. So we'll have to imagine this. Um, and for that, I'm just, if I am going to place fingers one on top of the other, okay, this is slightly, I think it will help to wipe off this white so I can think clearly. I'm going to start with the finger that is visible. The little finger is visible. So I'm going to use the little finger first. That's the little finger face, and then we'll have the other finger that is hidden, the second and the first. So it's all going to be like this. That is a lot, but it is manageable. At least I'm able to see with some strokes. I'm able to see what could be right. Yeah. So right now, what I'm going to do is to start using those bright colors that we blended for Shakti's skin tone and do the correction. So luckily, I have all the colors with me in my palette, so I'm not going to switch to anything or blend anything new. I have that skin color with me. I am going to use the skin color first to fill this place in. Yeah, so it's filled. Yes, and wipe off the brush. I don't want to start with the darkest of the tonality. I will start with the next tonality that we had mixed. We had the corners, the contours covered with slightly darker color tonalities, isn't it? So we'll use that to go ahead and build that finger one by one. I start with the little finger first. Yeah. I'm starting with the little finger here, making that shape of the little finger here. So this is working. So the little finger comes up ever so lightly here. I hope you're able to see that. Yes, good. So one finger down, we have 3, 4 fingers to adjust. This finger is slightly bigger. The next one, it's folded. I am just making sure the folds are coming in. And luckily the contours are there. So it isn't looking really dark there because I'm also keeping it safe because I'm trying myself here. Hmm. The next finger is even more folded, coming up. And the last is hidden, but you can see that it is here. So that is giving you less of space here. And I am going to take a bit of this dark color to build that I built the stem of the flower. So you can see this. I take the burnt umber that we mixed with black maybe to just give the contours a little bit of a highlight. Now I'm starting boldly in the sections where I am, uh, to work on. Um, spaces in between the fingers and so on. So I think I took accidentally a bit of black, but it's okay. It goes there. I just want it to be slightly darker, but not too much. So I'm just doing that contour here, coming out. Yes, I think we have survived this. So this hand doesn't look too broad anymore. Yes. So should we just blend in a little bit of those colors? I'm going to wipe off my brush because I've taken really dark, deep color tonalities. So I'm going to go back to blending a little bit of this vermilion mixed with, what did we do? We mixed vermilion and yellow ochre, isn't it? So that was the darkest of the color that we created. So we are going to do that. Just put that in and blend it in those nice darker sections. What are the darker sections? Actually, in these fingers, you have to remember that most of it is not catching the light, natural light. So it's really on the darker side. So I'm going to blend it in accordingly, blend this in accordingly, and also the contours to make sure that it isn't, standing out in some way. Okay, it looks fair enough. I'm just adding a little bit of titanium white in the middle of the palm, but otherwise I think it looks good to blend here. Yes. Wow. Okay. I think this was the difficult one. We managed to a greater extent. Yeah, I'm just looking for any minor slippages that I could fix. It has to look. We will have one, at least one more layer to go in our class. So we will be able to adjust even further. But I just want to see if that is, at least looking to the extent, it is to be corrected. Does it look like we have fulfilled the job today? Mm, I guess it is. Yeah, fantastic. So we will make a stop here. And I think it looks fair enough. So we will move on to correcting Shiva's hand as well. So for that, like I said, this one, the obvious area that we wanted to fix was that the angle here isn't talking well. I am taking a bit of titanium white so you can see the line that I'm drawing. So I'm going to cut off like this. So we take a little bit more of, I don't want too much of white also there. I'm just going to cut off like this. So then the hand looks like it's in the right angle. So that's what I'm going to do. Um, I don't need the white. In fact, I would need a darker tonality there to help me, do the finish there. So I'm just going to go, because I added the white and I'm looking at the same blue color. If I have something of it left over, I am lucky because I have the color left over in my palette. I'm doing the corrections here. This looks fair enough. No more change. I just need to darken this. face. So the Prussian blue and the black, I have something left over to work with. Yes, Prussian blue and black is pretty much available for me now. Want to work on that. Mhm. So now you have this also slightly corrected. This looks fair enough. Um, it's a little too bright. I'm just going to blend it in here. Wiping off the brush before I blend the color in. I think it's a little too bright in my case because I added the white to show you. And I can blend it in now. This correction is done. We have the right position of the hand. Just going to make sure that the darkest of the tonalities is rightly there, placed in the right way that it has to be highlighted. Yeah. So this hand looks fair enough. Here also the angle has to be slightly this way, so it looks like this looks fairly in the right angle now. Blending it in ever so lightly. Okay. So the hand is adjusted here. I'm happy with this. The last adjustment that I wanted to make is relating to the other hand of Shakti. Not too big. I'm not going to do too much of work. This little finger here looks too long. I'm just going to add a bit of titanium white to just make me, remind me of the space where I want to stop when I do work on the lion. Yeah, so that's exactly where. So I've just done that. In a way, I have just done the adjustments here. I guess this is fair enough now. That was the adjustment in terms of the hands. There is a couple of adjustment though to the foot that I noticed. Not too big, but again, I would like to, once I have noticed something, I would like to clear that off. The foot, both the foot looks really broad. So I want to, it looks totally, broader, and we don't have the shape of the foot properly done here. I'm trying to do that. I'm going to take out the unwanted positions out here with another color. These are not needed. So which means the contour is here for the foot. It's a minor change again, but it does make a difference of where the foot is. Just going to blend it in here ever so lightly. Leave it there. So this foot is adjusted, I guess. This foot also I needed, instead of going for a white, I'm going to do the black. I feel that this is missing the structure here. There is this slight, up and down of the bone. One could sense in his or her, you know, foot that was missing there. So I'm just going to blend it in ever so lightly. hmm And then maybe I will take a bit of titanium white to erase that minute layer that I have removed. So it's so clear that when we work on the grass, then we adjust it also. Sometimes, we put that white color or some different color. It's blending. It shouldn't here. I want it to be white so it's visible for us that when we come to the grass, then we are adjusting here. Hmm. Right. Going over the contours of the foot one more time. Blending that in. Okay. Yes. I guess this is also adjusted. So I am fairly done with the corrections. Okay. Now we are going to move to the costume. Yeah. So what I'm going to show you is how this clothing is done. And this is for the benefit of people who have never um experimented working with women wearing sari or any costume like this. And even in the case of I'm just checking if I have any color there. Even in the case where you have work with today's women, seen how we wear costumes, we wear our Indian women wearing our sorry, sari. um, it's very much different from the way it was worn long, long ago. So, yeah, even for me, I think it's a little bit difficult to describe the whole piece of it, but I will try my best to give an explanation on the folds. See, whatever costume we are wearing, some character is wearing that you are trying to portray. What do you have to understand? Is the costume thick or thin? If the material is thick, then there is stiffness around the material that you want to show. If it is really flowy, fluid, it's you want to show that. And how is it folded? Sometimes we are only, let's imagine that we are going to work on a portraiture of somebody wearing a shirt. Then the shirt will have some folds because let's say that it's a full hand shirt. Then if somebody is sitting like this, then there should be some folds because of the way we are positioning our body, isn't it? So it's all simple. So we're looking at those folds only and seeing how to represent those folds. Now we are going to look at the folds that are on the top of her, the torso, the body. And for that, I'm going to explain how the sari is worn. So this is a very thin cloth that I have, and I'm going to fold this for you in the way I would fold. Let's say if I'm wearing a sari. Um, so I'm folding it like this, into straight pleats. So this goes on my body like this, and starts creating the uh, you know pleats, the folds. But those days, the olden days, women used to not do this leveled or measured pleats the way I did it just now. Measured pleats. No, they used to grab it like this, and then whatever is folded, it's folded and it's placed like this. Okay, so it's just going to be crisscross. It might not have a proper, what do you call, distance between the each. The one might be big, one might be small, so all these things could happen. And in this case, the way this woman Shakti is wearing is that she is um, putting this like this, and this is coming around to her over her breast area. So you see these folds. These are the folds of the upper region, and it goes on next to, close to her hip line, where the cloth must end somewhere, isn't it? When it is going this way, it's going to end somewhere. So this is the upper part. And what do you see behind? Okay, that is this cloth that is remaining, that is going behind my shoulder, comes back, and maybe it would have been in this year. I mean, in the way we wear it, women wear it, we don't necessarily cover our back. We have very different styles of blouses that we wear, and it would also mean that you might be able to see some skin in the back of a woman that is wearing a sari. It's normal that you might have noticed any Indian woman that, okay, you can see a little bit of her back. Um, that was definitely not there. So the way the women used to wear this sari is that this clothing will come back from the behind, and to make sure that none of the skin on the back is visible, what happens is that sometimes the side of this cloth is attached to their bangle. Let's say that I'm having a watch, so I'm just doing this like this. So whenever I lift my hand off, you're going to see this coming up. So it will cover everything in my back, and that's why the clothing that is falling behind her. Okay, so the clothing behind her, this is the top. What we discuss is the top side of it. Why is the fold going like this, even in the bottom, from the hip area to down towards the foot? That is another type of fold. So what do we do? Again, let's say it could be pleated, the way I said, leveled pleats, or not even leveled pleats. Let's do all this crushing. So this crushing, this is something, even if you have no clue of the this tradition or so, if you have been to, let's say, any um, festival occasion where clothing decorations are done, um, for Christmas, or any other festival, that you might have simply noticed that a cloth can be turned into frills like this when you have made some folds and pulled it out like this. So there are some frills falling in between, and this is what is the top of this. Let's say that this bunch is going to go, let's say, inside, little bit inside the skirt of a woman. So what happens that all these frills are going to come up and show, um, you know going towards the left or going towards the right, depending upon how the sari is worn. So it's all, you can imagine any clothing like that, that is there in frills. You might have seen, even in places where they are selling clothing, they they might want to do some frills like this and drop it off, so it's looking fancy. Yeah, so you can imagine something like that for the bottom part, under the hip. So this is about the clothing, the way it's worn. So frills means folds. Simple. How the fold is going. So what is happening with the cloth when the fold is happening? What is really happening? This is all a lump of clothing. But what is really happening when I'm holding it in any particular way? You see some of the folds that are brighter and some of the folds are darker because this first fold is right in front of your eye, the next fold is right behind you, behind. So there is this shade of this fold on top of the next fold. So you try to play around also with a different type of clothing to understand how this works. That's a good exercise to practice. But this is the overall that I would like to explain about um, the costume before we move on back to. Yes, back to this. So we know the frills on the top, there are folds, and folds are causing images, what you call shadows. Simple. We understand this now. What is the color? I'm going to take, remember, I was talking about this bottle green that I wanted, and I am going to use something called Cinnabar Green Deep. And this I use because I am so much into getting that kind of green that I want. I'm going to use this green, but to this I'm going to add another color to it to give that effect of turquoise or something. So I'm going to add to this a bit of blue. And I'm just trying to see what blue will be the good one. I will move the camera down so you could see. So I have taken the Cinnabar green and I'm taking brush number 2. This green is, yeah, it's almost the same green that we had shaded before, no big difference in terms of the green, but I'm just going to take Prussian blue for an example to see how this goes when it blends. I am adding a little bit of black as well. I want to experiment to see how this is. And when I want to experiment, I do a little bit of touching on the. It looks on the blacker side, adding a little bit more of that green. It isn't um, close to what I want yet, so I'm going to keep on experimenting. And I will take some primary blue. Maybe that gives a stronger impact. Let's see. I have primary blue here. So this is all a part of experimenting. So it's a mix of primary blue going with this green. Green should be taking the control over, so it should not look blue. Yeah, I'm just trying to have that, and I want another place to experiment. Slightly different, but not too much there. Maybe I could throw a little more of the blue boldly. Minor differences. Nearly there with that color. Some more. So I'm just moving inch by inch to see how this color speaks to it. Yeah. So here, I think I can boldly, I'm getting closer, I can see, but it's not still there. I'm going to boldly take a little more of that because green is also a stronger color. I'm taking a little more of the primary blue and going on blending it in there. Green is a highly competitive color. It could overpower easily, so you need a little more. Ah, yes, begins to show a bit of velvety, bluey green. It's the bottle green. Throwing in boldly a little more of the primary blue. Now I'm getting. So, hmm I guess this is fair enough for me to go ahead with it. If you aren't crazy about the bottle green like me, you can go on taking out any of those nice greens to try. Um, Maybe a little bit more of that bluey streak on the screen. Yes, I guess this should be good enough for us to make a stop with the testing and move on to filling it here. The lighter color tonality, I'm not going to worry about. I am going to use white wherever I need. Just filling in that shade first. Trying my best to leave out a little bit of the spacing for the jewelry. I'm filling in this color. It looks possibly darker for you. And because of the blue, it will give that silky effect the moment we add a bit of titanium white or flake white snow, whatever white there, it'll start showing. Hmm? Not going to do that right away. I'm just going to fill it in first. I remember the folds, but if you are worried about the folds, you want to work one fold after the other, do it as such and use another zero brush to go over the section um, with the folds. So I am coming close to the section where it is, the body, is meeting Shiva's body line. Let's go back to using brush number 0. Happily taking in a little bit of white. And I'm going to lighten up a little bit around where. So the fold, after the fold, what is behind the fold is darker. So I'm going to highlight the fold itself here. So it's a reverse. Yeah. So I am looking at those lines where there is darkness and I'm going underneath those lines to add a little bit of this white to blend it in ever so lightly. So see, it turns bluey also in some places, and that's exactly what we want. At least in my case, I am crazy about this bottle green because it looks slightly bluey in some places. So that was one fold going there. Remember these folds that are coming from the shoulder, they will not be straight because there is this torso, there is our chest or breast, so there is movement up and down. So remember that. Yeah, that's one. The other is going here. Blend it in nicely. Yeah, good. Blend the white in so nicely. So we have this, and I'm going to move the camera slightly down so that you can see this angle is going all the way down here, very close to the hip line. Underneath the belt as well, it comes up like this. So remember that. This is the, you have to imagine that it's coming all the way from the shoulder. I know this is getting even worse because you need to imagine this part of the cloth which is in here. Mm. That's what is complex about this painting, and I'm so happy that you are trying this. Especially if you have never done this before, I am so proud of you already. Okay, good. Now we go on to that two more strokes. There is one more we have to imagine because it's coming even underneath the belt. The end of that cloth that is coming from the shoulder is here. That's why I put the golden, border kind of in the clothing. So, it's easier for us to understand. So the titanium white is blending in now with all this and helping us show those highlights. Blending in nicely. I need to add a little more of this color again. Very close to the line where we have the border. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of titanium white here to show the other fold. So this is also coming all the way from the shoulder line. That's what you want to show. Hmm. Yes. So we have done this. Now I take a little bit of ivory black and I ever so lightly go behind those, titanium white stroke that I made to just deepen the darkness. Yeah, the folds are causing some shades, isn't it? Deepen the darkness there. Blend it in. You don't want the black also to show off totally. It doesn't because we already have a stronger color naturally, but just to be sure, don't miss out on anything. Yes, fantastic. So we have that. I'm going to I want to mix the titanium white ever so lightly here to give that shade. The fold of the clothing. Then there is this glow that is coming. Oh, I love this color. Oh, I love this color. It is not 100% close to what I want, but still I can. I'm coming close to the color that I wanted, so I'm happy with it to move on at least now. I'm liking it, the way it is turning out in these places. Nicely. Okay. Good. So taking the ivory black again, going over those folds, darkening the space right behind the fold. So the effect is there. Also, remember to darken the place, shading of the jewelry, just the way we did the shading of his Rudrakshamala. There must be some shades also created here. So I'm using the ivory black again, blending it in ever so lightly on these sections. Very close to the jewelry. Yes. And also the hip line, her belt should again give some shadows that we want to highlight. So darkening that as that space as well. Barely done. Blending in the black. Nicely done here. I'm happy with this. I'm going to come down to the bottom portion of the frills, going up to her foot, and then we'll do the back of the clothing. Yeah. So let's do this. Oh wow. Yes, I like it. I'm going over real quick here. Every fold that is going across the body is also creating that contour. So it's not, can you see that, I have curves and curves and curves done. It's not going to look like, definitely not going to look like somebody is wearing a tights. It'll, uh, it'll hug the body. A tight will hug your body perfectly. There will not be any, folds there at the end of it, but this is not a tight. So it's going to have folds because it's got those frills that's flowing down, yeah, from the hip area. Good. Few more frills to go. So the primary blue helped us, at least in my case. I'm happy with this green. Okay, I'm coming close to her foot. Right now, I'm going to move the camera slightly down. Yes. So the last part, but not the least, we will just fill that in nicely. So you have to imagine that it's falling down her foot in such a way that it's covering all the frills are, finally coming down. So the last frill is covering a part of her foot. That's how, fully covered. You cannot see the full feet of a woman. That's how they cover themselves. So we have done this. Now I go back to brush 0. Do we play with the white? to lighten it up in places, and then with the dark. So titanium white again. Where should I lighten? I'm going to lighten it here. That's one fold. We haven't done Shiva's clothing yet, which is the tiger skin. So that nice lightening up of those shades there, curves there. I'm just going with that flow. Yeah. Okay, looks fair enough here. I'm gonna go further down here, adding up the white, titanium white again. Yes, let's see, we're nearly there. This is really bright here. I want to lighten it up. I think I'll have to blend it using my round brush number. So when the blending is becoming difficult, I also move on to the other brush to blend in places. So I have done that here. Let's do a little more of that in a couple of more lines here. That covers the lighter shade. Oh wow, that's a bluey green. That's an awesome one. That's an awesome one, yes. So wow, it looks really pretty here. It's kind of that blue that you get to see in aquariums. I I hope you agree with me. Yeah, I feel like that when I'm working on this. It's bluish green sometimes in those aquariums. Wow. So I think I'm done with the white. So I'm going to move on with the ivory black. Go over the contours again, moving slightly up. So this contour right beneath that clothing is going to be dark. So adding the black there, blending it in ever so lightly. Remember also this section where it is, converging here. It's also going to be slightly dark. So I'm just going on pulling up and filling in and blending the black there, playing with it. It gets a little too much here. Blend it in. Blend that in, yes. Good. Right there. Beautiful. I'm a fan of this color, I can see. Totally enjoying it. Few more frills to go, and then we are back to the back of this clothing. Yeah. Yes, there is a lot to work on. But yes, you also need to give it to yourself that you have chosen one of the toughest paintings to work on. So, really brave move. Mm, So, and we are going to make it easy, going step by step, isn't it? That's what we are trying to do. Any tough painting, if we break it down into smaller sections, it's easily possible for us to achieve, one step at a time, we will reach there. So I think I managed that here. Now what I'm going to do is that the clothing that is behind, the one that is falling over the shoulder and coming through close to her, bangles here. This is the part that's going to be slightly darker than what we have here, isn't it? So obviously we have to add a bit of what do you do to this color? That is so dark already. Yes, darken it up with a little bit more of black. So I'm going to go take that ivory black and blend it in a little bit, not too much. We don't want it turning totally black, so I'm just adding it here. It gets on the, what do you call it, darker side. Somewhat looks like black, but it isn't. We will also use some folds there, isn't it? So I have done this. Going to show you very close to this place. There's a very tiny place in between the hip and the hand. So I have covered that and I came down here to this area. Then we will go on filling it first. Lovely. It is looking darker, but I would add a little more of black also in some of the places to further darken it, sort of pulling it to the back. Using the zero brush, I'm just going to go over those contours one more time, blending it in with the black. So this time I'm starting with the black instead of the white to make sure that, the darker portions are dark enough. Yeah. Now I take a little bit of titanium white because I don't need it for all those sections. I just need it in the ones that could possibly catch light because they are here in the front. Folds again. Yeah. Yes, I think we managed it fine now. Looks fair enough. Wow. Yes. Let us make a stop here. I'm going to bring this down. I love her color. Oh my God. Yes. The sari color is awesome. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So let's summarize what we did today. We have been doing some corrections. At least in my case, I figured out some mistakes. This is also a good example where we go wrong with hands, fingers, and so on. And I did make a fair level of mistakes, which I realized, and I have fixed here with the hands. And also with a little bit of with the foot, minor adjustments in the foot, one major adjustment with this hand, others were all okay, so kind of building that image fine. And then we also managed to work on this beautiful sari that Shakti is wearing. I am so taken aback by the color. I hope you all also like it. I hope you're not so crazy about this kind of color requirement. It's okay. You can choose any color that you want. Um, so I have done that, and we also, through that process, we also understood how these clothing go, along the body line, and why so many folds and such. Yeah. So these are really frills caused because the cloth is really crushed in the middle, and then there are frills, umpteen number of frills going down. So we looked at that, and we have done this. So that's where we make a stop with this class. So the next class will be to work on. We will have to continue with her clothing. We haven't done her blouse, so we'll have to work on that in the next class, and we would possibly be working on a bit on his clothing, which is a fur, a tiger skin. How about that to making it even more complicated? Yeah. So we have to work on that, and slowly, steadily, we'll start moving into a few more areas. We haven't done their hair, so there are so many areas to work with. So we will slowly, gradually progress to other areas as well. Once we are done with the clothing, we will move into the other sections as well. So that's the plan. Looking forward to having you in the next session. But before that, yes, as I say in every class, any queries, any comments, feedback, thoughts, you might share it with me, support at playstudio.tk. Also, remember that if you are having an issue that it's really way off, the painting that you are making is way off from any of the references or any this image that I'm showing you, it's not none at all, and you are worried about it, then you must share the picture and also tell what exactly you're going through. We might have to have a call, and I will be glad to help you out in that case, having a private one-on-one call to see where is it gone wrong. Yeah. And to help you out. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, evening, afternoon. Bye bye. Stay blessed.